Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world.
Time! Three on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game!
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Float game for the win! Taylor's gone. Goodbye. Touchdown, Indy. Woo! IU. America. They got a football team now.
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Oh, now, here's Jim Coyle.
Yes, it is. Hello, everybody. Welcome aboard. Happy Tuesday as we push on into March, as reaching the latter stages. Good Lord, it's just flying by, which is a good thing. Means we got through January, got through February. We're deep into March. April's right behind it. So warmer and warmer weather coming on the way. It was amazing the other day when it was 2 days ago when it was like 83. And I, asked Alexa, hey, what's the tonight's forecast or whatever? And a low of like 34. I'm like, what? I was like, are we still doing that, man? Yes, we are still doing that. But even it's going to be up to 70 on Wednesday and a low of 59. But then back on Friday, we're down to 49 and 28. So, and 2 days later, it's 75 again. So, hope people aren't getting sick. But heck, we'll get through it. We'll be fine. As we're closer and closer each day. Looking down through here, actually, to see, whatever. It's going to be just about like it has. Man, so much to talk about. Looking forward to Mike DeCourcy joining us, as always, from the Big Ten Network, Fox Network, and Sporting News with his duties during the NCAA tournament, as it will restart on Thursday. Great games coming up. J.D. Campbell's corner. He's got Scott Agness in the corner this morning. Looking forward to that. And let's see. I noticed that former Purdue player Camden Heide, I didn't realize he's no longer with Purdue. He hit the portal last year. So they've had so few players do it. That's like the third player that I know of that did that. They had the two that had to leave when he didn't plan on having them there for that extra year. But Cam Heide is on Texas's team as they push forward in the NCAA tournament. I wonder if they'll lose any other guys besides the ones they're going to lose. If Purdue loses guys to the portal, this is going to be a first for Matt Painter in that he is going to really have to rebuild his lineup in a way he is completely unaccustomed to. And I'm not saying this is any negative or anything. I'm just noting it. It's just what's going on. He's losing his core guys. He's losing four seniors. Three of them are the core. Fletcher Lawyer, Braden Smith, of course, Trey Kaufman, Wren. So those guys are gone after this season, unless they can sue the NCAA like everybody else, and there's more of that going on in the SEC, which I'll get to, of course. But those three guys. And then what if they were to lose another guy or two to the portal? It happens. And so it's going to be an interesting change for Purdue next year to see what they'll get going. But they're still playing in the NCAA tournament right now. My bracket is blown. I had Florida in the Final Four, dadgummit. But I've done one of those redos to see how that works out. I mentioned more SEC lawsuit. Oklahoma linebacker Owen Henneke is suing the NCAA for another year of eligibility. And this is after he goes through the combine. Yeah. A hearing is scheduled for next month, April 16th. He had 74 tackles, earned second team all SEC honors last season, but was denied an additional year by the NCAA, and his appeal was also denied in February. Yet they're still suing. Where are you, Greg Sankey? This is football. He spoke up on basketball, but notice he's not saying a word about football. He jumped in on Alabama trying to get the NBA guy eligible, which was great. But where are you, Greg Sankey, on this? Where are you, Greg Sankey, on when Tennessee sued? Where are you, Greg Sankey, when Ole Miss is blatantly guilty of tampering? Crickets. It's football. Big difference in the SEC. So, you got that. And I think Brian says the Ole Miss kid is going to be a load. I think you're talking about for Purdue. Yeah, but that's one of the guys that can leave. Rick saying the players leaving is the new norm. Yeah, no team will be safe unless they pony up the money. Well, of course, to keep the core players. That's a fact, but I don't have a problem with that. I'm just mentioning it is what it is. But there are guys that stick around that like where they are. They're getting paid. As long as they're getting paid, there are guys that like to be where they are. I'm telling you. There's just a lot of variables that go into it. Are you winning? If you're not winning, there's no reason to stick around. If you're a good player, there's no reason for you to play on a bad team. Why would you not leave? I wouldn't. If it was my son, daughter, I would encourage him or her. Get the hell out of there. Go find you a place where you can play that fits into what you do. It's great for that. Hey, people. And, here's another thing. Cinderella. Everybody is bitching and moaning about, there's no more Cinderella. Who cares? Who cares? Why does there have to be a team that you've never heard of or follow do something? I don't care who is playing. What I care about are the games. Are the games great? Are the games good? Are the games exciting? They have been. I don't care if it's a team from a power conference or from Timbuktu. Why do you care? Why do people care? This Cinderella thing is starting to crack me up. Why does people all of a sudden care about something that never happens hardly? It's the rarity. It's a rare thing anyway. So why is that the thing? It's like people always have to have something to complain about because both of these sports have never been better as far as the level of play. Football and basketball. Is Indiana not a Cinderella in football? They can't be. They're in a power conference. But, geez, it's really hard to have a Cinderella in football. And how is Indiana not a Cinderella? Losingest program in the history of college sports? Or they were. So, no, I just don't care about Cinderella. I don't care that a team from the A-10 didn't make the Final Four. Why is that a deal? Who cares? Wouldn't you rather see a great game? So, yeah, I mean, High Point. Very great point, Brian. High Point was great. Hell, they were great. They even the game they lost, they battled. Virginia Commonwealth. had an upset. There were upsets. I mean, I guess when you're in a power conference, you can't consider it this big of a deal, but Iowa beats the reigning national champion. That was great TV. That was a great game to watch. All these games have been great. So, you know what? I'm just not a big, I couldn't care less about Cinderella if I didn't make that point. Let's see. Penn State wins their 5th straight wrestling national championship. Not quite catching up with Iowa just yet. Indiana finished like 21st or something. Man, that program is just rolling since dadgummit. Why can I can't think of his looking at it. I can see his face in my head, but their coach has just done phenomenal. That's another thing. Indiana's wrestling coach, and his name is on the tip of my tongue. So when whoever pulls that up, and volleyball, those are two programs that volleyball is the Big Ten is the toughest conference for both of these sports, volleyball and wrestling. In wrestling, you've got Penn State has won 5 straight. You've got Iowa, etc. Indiana has become a top 25 program now. Indiana volleyball, top 25, Angel Escobedo. Thank you, Brian. Former national champion for IU. But both of those, and Steve Aird for volleyball, both of those programs are now competitive nationally, while in the Big Ten being the toughest conferences. So great coaching jobs by those guys as well. So the Indiana National Championship Trophy Tour's coming to a city near you. Talk about that more later. Mike DeCourcy's going to join us next. Got to take a quick break. Pause for the cause. Happy to have you along. We got lots more coming up. Back with it right after these messages.
Indiana football accomplished what no other team ever has. Big Ten, Rose Bowl, Peach Bowl, and CFP national champions. The Hoosiers have etched their name into the history books as the first 16-0 team in the modern era. A limited edition of only 5,000 commemorative national championship footballs has been released. 3 full panels embossed and stamped with every championship logo and fully licensed. Get your piece of history today at NICOsports.com. That's NIKCOSPORTS.com. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Bored, Bloomington? Dave & Buster's can fix that. Eat and drink your way through our all-new menu. Play half-price games every Sunday through Thursday. Watch all your team's wins on a 40-foot screen and 30 HD TVs. and level up with the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game. Private game suites, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's on 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday. And that means a visit from our good friend and Mr. Everything, Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News, the Big Ten Network, and the Fox Sports as well. You've got your latest piece out that is we'll talk about with the ranking the Sweet 16 teams, and I love that's going to be great and fun to talk about. And I did notice, well, I won't pat myself on the back just yet, nor should I. After the first weekend, Mike, my bracket, I went in and looked. We have one that we do for the show with the fans, and I was like third from the bottom. And I went back through it. I looked. I'm like, okay. I mean, because I knew after there were things I busted, but I was like 9-3, 9-3, 9-3, and then I went 6-6, which that sucked. But I was like, okay, that doesn't seem that bad to me, but apparently it is because I stunk it up, baby. You're muted.
Sorry, you just said you were going to brag. You're not bragging, and then you told.
Well, I was looking at your ranking of the Sweet 16 teams. Those are my two final teams as well.
Ah, gotcha.
I got one part right. It just got beat up on the on the others. But and before you joined us, I was talking about Cinderella. I keep getting comments about, and I'm like, all right, this is going to sound harsh. I don't care about Cinderella. All I care about is great games. Do you care who it is? Does it matter that a team from the A-10 is not going to the Final Four? No, I don't care. The fact that Iowa beat Florida, that's
a huge upset. It was a huge upset.
I'm like going, man, these are great games. Why do you care who it is? I don't, and I'm loving it. And we did the same thing with football. They're better. It's more fun, and the games are better, period, in my opinion.
You know, part of what bothers me about this conversation is how simplistic people want to make it. NIL changed everything. Okay, NIL did change everything. But so did the decision of Belmont and Murray State to leave behind the league they were in and were dominating, and where one of them went to the tournament every year, and usually they were good enough to make some serious noise. They decided that they wanted to be in a league that, I don't know how much more money it is, Jim. I never really looked into it. But they left the Ohio Valley behind and joined the Missouri Valley, and it's harder. At Belmont, even a terrific team like Belmont was this year, loses to a lower echelon team in the Missouri Valley. That would have never happened in the Ohio Valley. They would have lost if they lost. They would have lost to Murray State in the final. That's how it went for a long period of time. They were clearly the two best teams in the league and decided when they got the offer to move up. And that's happened all throughout college sports, college basketball being obviously the one that's most affected. But I have a friend who used to be an assistant coach at UCF. When it was known as Central Florida 20 years ago, he was a coach there. They were in the Atlantic Sun. Now they're playing against UCLA in the first round of this tournament as a member of the Big 12. That's how much it's changed in 20 years. So as the way I put it and getting it closer to home, how about Butler? That's only been 15 years. Butler was in the Horizon League, made 2 consecutive NCAA finals. And now they're in the Big East. The way I put it on Twitter, and I did like this line, I will pat myself on the back. I said, Cinderella is in the castle, Jim. A lot of it, that's the reality, is that a lot of Cinderellas are in the castle now. It's harder for those teams to win that are seeded 12 through 16 now because they're not as powerful as they used to be. Because so many of those teams that would be winning those games are buried in leagues where only one team gets out. Davidson, another. They decided they wanted to join the Atlantic 10. Jim, when Davidson said, when they decided to join the Atlantic 10, I said, don't do it. You'll never be Davidson again. You'll just be another team in this league scrambling for one bid that might turn into 2 like it did this year. if one of the teams is extraordinary, as St. Louis was, and the other team wins the automatic bid. That's the reality. But they all decided to do it, Jim. And like I said, I don't know how much more money it is for any of them. I just know it's a lot more competition for a very small piece of the pie. But as a group, Jim, as a group, the non-power schools. Now, I think I did the math, not incorporating the Mountain West I put the Mountain West in the pile with the major conferences because they're getting multiple bids and have never really stopped. They got this year they got one. This was the aberration. In past years, as recently as 2 years ago, they got 5 bids. Last year, I think it was 3. This year, they were very close to getting multiple, but New Mexico and San Diego State just didn't get enough done this year for them to get it. So I think I grouped them with the power schools, and so then I left it. So there were like 25 bids, 25 automatic bids for the other conferences, for what you might want to call mid-major, low major, whatever you want to call them. And if you do it, that means that out of the field of 68 as it now stands, 37% of the field goes to those leagues automatically. And that's as it should be, because it's not a real championship if there's no clear defined path to qualification. If it's just a bunch of people in the room, as we had in football until just recently, get in a room and say, this is who we think is good. That's not a real championship. That's nonsense. We don't have that in basketball. We have, you win your conference's automatic bid and you're in, and we can't stop you from getting in. Even if we think you're not good, you're getting in. That's a real championship. So it's as it should be. But that's 37% of the field going to mid-majors. You look at the WAB rankings, wins above bubble, 22% of teams in the top 68 are in those leagues, in those other leagues. 22 as opposed to 37. If you look at KenPom, to look at the power rankings, it's 18% of teams in those leagues. And then again, I can't remember now whether I incorporated the Mountain West on one side of that line or the other, but it's the same either way, because the reality is that the mid-majors get 37% of the field, while they don't compose 37% of the best teams. Again, I'm not complaining about that. I would fight that even harder perhaps than against the advance the ball timeout rule in college basketball. I would fight. There have to be automatic bids for all the conference champions for it to matter, for it to work. But they're not getting a raw deal, Jim, no matter how many times people try to tell you they are, including Flynn Clayman from High Point, who I thought really ruined a wonderful moment with his absurd comments about mid-major basketball after the High Point upset of Wisconsin. I thought that the way he handled that on the floor in his individual interview with Turner and in the press conference afterward, I thought he handled that moment abysmally. And I certainly don't think he did himself any favors in that circumstance.
This is off topic, and I'm only hitting it because there's someone that has been just beating me up in comments about last fall when Notre Dame, rightfully so, did not get into the CFP, and then they didn't. Then they took their ball and went home. And I'm like, what a ridiculous bunch of crybabies. And then when Indiana did not qualify for the NCAA and did not play in postseason, which they shouldn't have, this person has been, well, where's the hypocrisy? And I'm like, first of all, this is apples and oranges. These sports are not the same. As far as football, you've got half a team that you could play and get them 3 weeks of practice or whatever. Nobody wanted to see this Indiana team play in the postseason, first of all. Secondly, they essentially wouldn't have had a team. I mean, unless they could have forced those 6-7 guys that are leaving, say, we need you to play in this stupid this Crown tournament, and because if you don't play in that, you can't play in anything else. But I for where Indiana is, they need to work on going forward, in my opinion. They need to work on their team. I just did not see any reason with a lot of people that they should have played in that. But it's not the same as football. These are not the same. It's apples and oranges. But that's just my thoughts on that. And that's why
I'll agree with you. I'll agree with you that they're not the same, but I do think they should have played. I think that there's value in competing. And especially since,
what would it have gained this team, though?
Well, how about getting Trent Sisley onto the floor for once?
Well, he didn't get it all year, and there's a reason. I mean, obviously. So I don't know what that was.
Is he healthy? As far as I know, he's healthy. If he's healthy, then it's going to help him to play.
One would think that, but
they may not have helped the Hoosiers this year. I'm not saying they made the wrong decision relative to playing time and all that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not saying they made the wrong decision for the 2026 Hoosiers to not play Trent. I'm saying that for Trent and for the 2027 Hoosiers, it would have been helpful to get him on the floor in real games. It certainly did not hurt Nebraska to have played in the Crown and won it a year ago. Not everybody that was on last year's team returned, and Rink Mast wasn't healthy a year ago, so he didn't play. But it didn't hurt Sam Hoiberg to have played in that.
I did. I'm not the only. You're not the only one that feels like that.
And I'm not being highly critical of this. I just think you're offered the opportunity to play, you're better off playing.
I would have agreed had this team had a few more players on it there instead of just one that you're looking to get some minutes for. I think that.
But what would it have hurt, Jim? I mean,
it's not that it would have hurt anything, but I think that they should be doing what they're doing, focusing on.
If you can't do both of those things at once, when you've got a literal 5-day tournament in Vegas that starts next week, 5 days. It's the 1st to the 6th, I believe. So you play like 3 games at the most. I just don't see any way you can't do both of those things. You don't even have to put that much time
not
into
play
the practice.
either. Both of the teams that were next up from the Big Ten chose not to go.
I believe the same thing about them. I live here in Pittsburgh, where they turned down the NIT 2 years in a row with plus teams, over 500 teams, and they didn't get any better. They probably got worse, because they have seen the program decline. And again, I'm not tracing it to not playing in the postseason when they had the opportunity, but I don't think that it helped them in any way to have done that. I understand that coaching is a hard job, and that trying to find the next group of players is a hard job, but you can handle that in that period of time. And still play. And again, the Crown is a very short tournament now, especially since they reduced the field. It's like, why wouldn't you want a week in Vegas? I mean, that ain't. I'm not turning that down if it's all expenses paid and they're sending me to Vegas to hoop a little bit. And I'm a 22-year-old athlete. I am not turning that down. And I am surprised that as many rejected it as did. I don't see the value in saying no. I'm not.
This is true. This is pretty. How long has the Crown been around now? 2 years?
No, this is the first one. That's why Phil is right.
Well, no, there was a Crown tournament last year.
That's what I'm saying. No, I meant this is the first year that this can be true. Every Crown tournament winner has ever has gone on to play in the Sweet 16 the next year. See, Nebraska won it last year. This last year was the first year.
Oh, it was the first one last year. That's
Nebraska
funny.
Won, and now they're in the Sweet 16. That's a great line from Uncle Phil.
But you can also say Fred Hoiberg has been at Nebraska for 7 years, and they finally won their first NCAA tournament game. So, it's a different deal. But hey, everybody agrees to disagree. It's just that I just wanted to address that it was a total difference between.
No, it's good. It's a good conversation to have. I do think that there's value in playing, and that especially now that they've changed the portal dates, what can be accomplished relative to the portal, which is mostly watching tape and making some preliminary contacts. I suppose there are some ways to do that. But you got to be really careful now because they're getting they're getting more aggressive about tampering. I do think that they're
who is
the NCAA or whoever's enforcing the rules now are saying that they are going to get more aggressive about it.
Saying they are is one thing.
Okay, so do you want to be the one that tests them? I'm not sure that would.
Ole Miss does.
Yes, yeah, there you go. LSU and Ole Miss will test them. Let them be the ones that test it. I wouldn't want to be the ones to stick my nose in that. Again, because you may lose out on prospects because they're already locked up, maybe. But they're not the ones you want anyway, Jim. One of my favorite things about this season was a conversation that I had with Tommy Lloyd. I learned so much when we named him our National Coach of the Year. And I learned so much about how he's operating his program and why he's been successful and why this team has been so terrific this year. And one of the things that he told me that I really liked, and maybe it's just salesmanship on me, I don't know. But what he said was, we don't want to be the highest bidder for anybody that comes here. He said, we don't want to be trampled money-wise by anybody and lose somebody for that reason. But we want them to come here for something other than they paid the most. We want them to fall in love with the tradition of the program or spending the winter in Tucson, which on my trips out there, I always ask myself, why would I want to be anywhere else? And all the other opportunities that you get with being an Arizona Wildcat. And they have sold their tradition and their location and their program much more effectively than programs that have better traditions. Arizona's tradition is great, but it's not Kentucky's, it's not Carolina's, and it's not Indiana's. And Arizona has done a more effective job in that department than any of the three schools I mentioned, even though those are much more illustrious and much more consistent over a longer period of time than Arizona's. But Arizona has figured out its niche, and they keep getting it done year after year under Tommy, and of course going back to Sean and Lute, et cetera. They keep getting it done because they understand how to make it work. I really respected that, and so they don't have to make these decisions about whether to play in the Crown because they keep making it back to the NCAAs on fairly comfortable seeds.
Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News, Fox, and Big Ten Networks with me right now. We're going to take a quick pause for the cause and plenty more to talk about. Mike, did you see the quadriplegic that is charged with murder?
I did not see this story.
Champion cornhole player on top of that.
Did not see this story.
My first question was, how does a quadriplegic shoot somebody? Crazy. Something like it. Professional cornhole players when it caught my attention. It was just crazy down in Virginia. But lots more coming up. Mike DeCourcy with me, back with more. Appreciate you being with us right after these messages.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Dave & Buster's Bloomington is the place to eat, drink, play, and watch. Enjoy half-price games every Sunday through Thursday, a new menu to dig into, and next-level upgrades like private game suites, the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's Bloomington, 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday. So happy to be here and see the weather getting a little bit better. Happy as well to be here with you, and even happier to have Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News, Fox, and Big Ten Networks with us. Mike, I noticed there was a tweet somebody put out, and you always got to take some of these with a grain of salt, that has the remaining rosters values for estimated NIL and roster spend. First of all, when I see estimated, I'm like, okay, estimated from what? What the hell are you estimating it from? I every time I see these numbers, I'm like, okay, nobody has this. So where the hell are you getting it from? There's valuations, but that's not what they're getting paid. On3 does the NIL valuations, what they may be worth, but that's not what they're getting paid. So, I look at this, the one that's currently that somebody put out, and I'm not saying it's not right or incorrect, but the one thing I did notice, since the Big Ten has 6 teams in the Sweet 16, going from the bottom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of the bottom 6 teams of this NIL estimated payroll, with Nebraska at $4.2 million, Iowa $5.5 million. How's Michigan State getting this done with just $8.3 million? Illinois 8.8, but that's surprising with all the foreign players they have, and then Purdue at 8.8. And then you got to get up to the top to get to Michigan in third. But all the Big Ten teams are at the bottom in payroll according to this.
I don't understand the estimated value on that, because I know that Braden, had he wished, Braden Smith could have gotten $3 million from, it was there. I know it was. I'd heard the numbers repeated from a lot of people who would know. And I asked Braden specifically, I said, you don't have to tell me what schools, you don't have to tell me the dollar figure, but were there significant NIL offers that came to you? And he said, absolutely. And he declined because he wanted to do what he's done, which is phenomenal, becoming the all-time NCAA assist leader. It's just going to be a matter of what available dates there are in the coming seasons, probably next season, for Purdue to put his jersey in the rafters. He wanted all that, and he got all that. And so he made the right decision for him, but there's no question that he could have gotten that level of money. So he's practically 40% of what they're estimating Purdue at. So I don't pay any attention to that stuff. One thing that I will proudly declare is that I have never used the figure that has been associated with Kentucky's roster in any way, shape, or form. And they've been using it as a baseball bat against this team for 6 months. And it's ridiculous. What difference does it make? If Kentucky's goal is to get to the Final Four and win a national championship every now and then, and it doesn't matter whether you're paying your guys 75 cents or whatever the number is, which I won't use again, to get there. It doesn't matter if it's not your money. And so I get really weary of this conversation because it only matters to the athletes. And I had someone on Twitter yesterday tell me the people like the people who paid for Kentucky's roster, or the people who paid for BYU to get AJ DeBonsa, they're going to get tired of giving this money. And I said, okay, so then the players make less money. It's still more money than they used to make. What difference does it make? If they paid AJ X million dollars this year, and the next AJ gets half of X million, he's still getting probably millions. So what do I care? What does anybody care about whether it's 7 million or 3 million or 1 million? It's still a bunch of money for athletes who 10 years ago got $5,000 in cost of attendance payments, plus room, board, tuition, and books and meals. I mean, this anti-NIL thing, here's what purpose the anti-NIL conversation is serving, Jim. It's made everybody forget about one and done, hasn't it? You never hear about that anymore. You know why? Because all anybody wants to do is find something to complain about.
Yes, the Cinderella thing. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
I'm like going, man. That's exactly what I said. I'm like, this is one of the small things. So this cannot be a complaint. I'm sorry. There's always going to be small things. Nothing is going to be perfect. But
right.
when the overall it's good and better, which it is. Stop. I mean, that doesn't mean you can't try to make it a little bit better, but you don't always have to do something with it. You don't need to add more teams with it for certain. My God. Just stop. And if it gets to the point to where there's that much complaining, then turn the NIT into the non-power conference tournament. And I think that would be great. And then, if you have the two champions play, that would be an amazing thing to see as well. It wouldn't mean that they're the total champion, but boy, would that create some, I don't know, it'd be something.
Well, I mean, that's another part of this non-Cinderella component, is that the mid-major leagues continue to stage conference tournaments, even to the point where the Ivy, which held out for the longest time, is now close to a decade or so of staging its 14 tournament because their coaches wanted it so badly. And so you're the ones that are deciding how to choose your champion. If you wanted to send Belmont out of the Valley, Belmont was terrific this year. If you wanted to send them to the NCAA tournament, there wasn't anything stopping you. There's nothing stopping you from saying it's your turn. If that's how you want to do it, you can designate it however you want. The NCAA has no say in it and tells conferences to do it however they want. Now, obviously, it's way better if they send a champion of some degree, but it's their choice. And they are choosing to stage conference tournaments. And in some of those conference tournaments, teams as good as Belmont are going to get upset with records that are not worthy, that do not warrant inclusion as an at-large entrant. And so the only complaints that we should hear, Jim, are complaints against those who want to change what we have. And those are the complaints that we should hear, because there are people out there who are legitimately trying to change the format of the NCAA tournament to make it so that the first 32 teams have to play on Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever, or maybe on they want to then stage the first round from there by eliminating the first 32 teams, and play a bunch of games so that those teams can enter the field of 64. It's just ridiculous. All of these ideas to change what is a perfect product. If Charlie Baker wants to add 4 teams to the tournament, which is stupid, let's eliminate the stupid play-in games. But no, if you added 4 more, then you'd have to have more play-in games.
No, I'm just saying add, how many, you've got 4 play-in games, right? So that's 8 teams. Add those 8 teams to the freaking tournament.
But they are in the tournament.
No, I mean, just add them to the regular.
The bracket
tournament
wouldn't work, Jim. Somebody has to play in. The math doesn't work like that. You'd have to go, I think, to 96.
Would it work to give top seeds a bye?
It depends on how many you have to give a bye to, but again, that's the same concept. Somebody's playing in.
Well, I mean, they would already be in the tournament that way, at least. It's kind of goofy the way it is. I mean, like the play-in games, it's like, okay, so you're not in the tournament. So
You
that
are in
doesn't
the
count
tournament. You get a
in the
check
play-in games.
and you're in. Yes. You
Does
are
that
in.
count as a tournament win?
It does. It
Okay.
does.
Okay.
So like,
Then why do we need more teams?
we don't need more teams.
I
Here's
mean,
what-
I know that, but I mean, I don't understand what the argument is.
The reason that they are arguing for it is so that they can try to squeeze more money out of CBS and Turner, so that they can get more funding for the conferences that already participate. And
how much more money are you going to get by adding crappy teams?
Well, that's the whole point, is that the reason this has not already happened, Jim, is that Turner and CBS understand two things. One, the value of the tournament is the bracket relative to television audience participation. The value of the tournament is the bracket. People love the basketball. They love the bracket more. And that's what you need to reach in order to make the audience worth the amount of money that's paying for it. That the second thing that they understand is that the first round, the early round games do not attract significant audiences. The record audience for the first four was achieved this year, Jim, because of the broad public appeal of the Miami Redhawks, their undefeated season, the charm of that story, and all that. The record for all times, and they began in 2011. The first four was 2011. 2.8 million people watched. That's the record. An average in a typical year, an average first round game draws about 8.5. So you're getting 1/4 of the audience for those first four games at best. And that's, like I said, on a record occasion, you're getting basically 1/4 of the audience. So CBS and Turner are saying, this is not worth the money that you want for this. Why would we pay you more to damage the product on multiple levels? So they have refused to this point to go along with it. Now, if the NCAA decided that they wanted to expand it to 72 or 76 or 96 or whatever, and do it with the same money that's being paid, they could do it tomorrow. But they want the extra money. They want the same check for these extra games that they're getting for the games that matter now. And CBS and Turner are saying, that's stupid. They may not say it in that language, but I will. That's stupid. Why would I pay you as much for hamburger as I do for filet mignon? I'm not doing that. That's bad business. And what ends up happening is, if I pay you the same for hamburger as I do for filet mignon, the filet mignon sits there in the case a little longer and starts to get bad, and all of a sudden I can't sell it anymore. That's where I'm taking that metaphor. Sorry. But it's bad business on multiple levels. If you mess with the bracket, you damage the appeal of what you're already paying. And let's not forget, Jim, they're paying $1.1 billion for 3 weeks of basketball. $1.1 billion for 67 basketball games, 67 college basketball games. That absolutely dwarfs the money that's paid for any other single college basketball game in the course of a year. And rightfully so, because it's an extremely popular television product. But the problem is this idea that they need to expand it so they can do that. And then the second element of it, and this is something that John Wilner, who writes for the Bay Area newspapers, it's not something that ever occurred to me, so I'm giving full credit to John. He points out that all these people, commissioners and athletic directors that are pushing for this, a lot of them have bonuses in their contracts for more NCAA bids. Like if your team gets in, like happened a year ago at North Carolina, where the chair of the selection committee literally had a bonus in his contract if his team got in the tournament, and they did with one of the poorer resumes of recent years. That was problematic, but that's what he's saying they're pushing for, because it makes more money for them individually. That's really bothersome. I mean, if you promised me that I could cover the first rounds of the NCAA tournament, and expanded to 76, and you said, okay, Mike, here's what we're going to do. We're going to put you in the studio for those first games because we're expanding. I would decline that money because I believe that much in the value of the tournament as it is now and the damage that would do to the health of the sport, even less so the tournament than the regular season. The regular season's appeal is what can you do to get there? And I live in that world as you know, very closely from end of December through the second week of March. And I know what the challenges are that those teams face, and they're difficult, but that's the whole point. Getting into the NCAA tournament shouldn't be easy. You talk about nobody wanted to see this Indiana team play anymore. Jim, if we expand to 76, that Indiana team is in a lot. It's a lock in the third week of February. Even though they lost the games they lost, there's nowhere else to go for teams. You'd have had to put them in, and they didn't belong.
I agree. We almost forgot. I've got about 2 minutes left. Your latest piece out, you have all 16 teams laid out, and I agree. At the top, you've got Arizona with Michigan. Those are, I think, the two best teams that have played at that level all season long. Not that Duke isn't good, but I just think that I don't have them going to the Final Four. I've got them getting upset. Houston, I do have in there. They're just too good. You've got Illinois up there, which they are getting warm. So, but I'm trying to remember if they're one of the teams that's in the KenPom deal of being in the top 21 offensively, top 31 defensively.
Okay,
Purdue is not either, I don't think.
Illinois is now 24th in defense. They are second in offense. They have risen to 24th in defense, and so they are in range in that department. They presumably would have to play great defense to advance past Houston and the two teams, the three teams that would then stand between them and the championship. So they can do it. They can reach it metrically, and they can win it. But the Houston game is it's a monstrous challenge. Houston's terrific. And
they're hungry because they had two gut-punching games last year that They win one and they lose the other. So they're going to be tough. I mean, like him or not, I don't care. Kelvin Sampson can coach, and he wants to win that national championship. You can tell.
Yeah, I stood next to him after the Final Four. There were about 20 of us or so after the championship game, the Florida game, and he was obviously brokenhearted at having come so close and not won. And the sentence that he said that I'll never forget is he said, "This team was built to win the championship," and that was going into my story as soon as he said it. But Jim, it wasn't going in for the reason he said it, because that team was not built to win the championship. And the reason it wasn't that they weren't tough enough, wasn't that they didn't have the mentality and the commitment to togetherness. They had all of that. They weren't talented enough. This year they are. Kingston Flemings and Chris Sinak have the kind of NBA talent you have to win this thing. We've gone over this before. 1987, the last one. All the Hoosiers fans know they were the last one to win the national championship without an NBA first-round pick. Well, now Houston has
without a name on the back of their jersey. currently. Mike DeCourcy, make sure you go. He's got his latest piece out with all 16 remaining teams, but there's so much more at the Sporting News. Also, when's your next appearance with Big Ten Network?
I will be on Thursday on the noon show, Big Ten Live. I will be on the show Thursday talking about the 6 teams. My goodness, 6 teams that are in the Sweet 16 from the Big Ten. I don't know if I saw that coming, but I did say, and I would like to reiterate this, that it's not about winning the championship to me. It like obviously Michigan and Michigan State and Purdue, that's what it's about for them. But for the league, it's about, do you play great basketball? And I think the 6 teams being in the Sweet 16 is a reminder that the Big Ten is a great basketball league. It hasn't won a championship since 2000. They've had a bunch of Final Four teams, I think, more than anybody but the ACC. They win NCAA tournament games. I said this on the air on the night of Selection Sunday. Don't let the Big Ten performance be defined by that. That teams win championships. Leagues play great basketball. And the Big Ten has been a terrific league this season. I thought the very best teams in the Big 12 were better, but that the Big Ten had the best depth of competition, and I think you're seeing that reflected in the Sweet 16.
No doubt. Make sure you give him a follow, Mike. Appreciate it. Look forward to next Tuesday there's a lot of great games coming up this weekend, and
absolutely
looking forward to it, buddy. Enjoy. Have a great week.
Thanks, Jim.
Hey, we've got more coming up here at Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Jim Coyle, I've got Campbell's Corner next. JD's got Scott Agness lined up. We've got more coming up. Back with all of that and more right after these messages.
Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Bored, Bloomington? Dave & Buster's can fix that. Eat and drink your way through our all-new menu. Play half-price games every Sunday through Thursday. Watch all your team's wins on a 40-foot screen and 30 HD TVs. And level up with the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game. Private game suites, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's on 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday, and JD Campbell has got it lined up. For those of you listening on radio, you can't see him, but he's got his Reds uniform on. He's got his fungo bat in his hands.
No, it's a
real bat.
30. It's a 33-inch Marucci wood bat.
I only recognize Louisville Slugger, man.
That's you. That's you.
That's man, come on, bro. That's the original stuff. Scott Agness from Fieldhouse Files. Scott, how you? It's been a long time. I haven't seen you just since the CFP.
Yeah, exactly. No, good to be on with you guys. JD, I love the outfit. You're ready to go. Get it going this week.
Dude, it's baseball season. But
the Reds are not what I read yesterday, the Reds are like typical same old. They're picked to be 4th in the division, I think, right now. But
look, that the thing that always bothered me about people picking teams in the preseason is nobody ever ranks the rankers, and guys are wrong so much.
Oh, absolutely. And this is a lot easier than you cannot even anybody that like the preseason stuff for college sports now, I think is an absolute joke. It always has been, but it's worse now than ever because you don't know you have a clue about teams, but you don't know because there are so many new players. And so all these people that just Indiana is a great example, partly because of the historic nature of it, but they just wouldn't outside of here, they just wouldn't accept it. This can't be real. This can't be real. It was real, but it can't be real because of the past, how they see the past, especially like the SEC. They still can't grasp their heads around the fact that everybody gets to pay players now. It's the same level playing field, and they just don't know. They're beside themselves, and truly. And I saw a thing yesterday. Only 3 programs have ever won in the CFP era have won a CFP title and a basketball NCAA championship. All 3 of those programs are in the Big Ten. Indiana, Michigan, Ohio State. Again, we've got the Sweet 16. Big Ten has 6 of these teams in. So the SEC, I am so happy they have got to let it go, baby. Just let it go. It's gone.
Okay, Mr. Feinbaum. You're carrying that Big Ten torch, and rightly so. And for me right now, it is baseball season. We started our first official practice yesterday over at Bloomington North. We open up Saturday the 4th in Brazil at Northview. But enough about that.
And he means Brazil, Indiana. He's not going out of the country.
Yeah, well, and look, if I went to Brazil, there'd probably be some good baseball players there.
Isn't that the home of Kit Klingelhofer?
I know it's the home of Chuck Crabb.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, Chuck was we played there when my kids were in school, and Chuck was proud to tell me, it's my hometown. And in the distinct voice that he has. But, today, and this will be the last thing I talk about of my coaching. Today I have asked, and then I'm going to do it all week, 4 players have to come early so we can work on bunting, how to drop the ball, because kids can't bunt. Kids are having a hard time learning to bunt.
You got to pinch. You got to pinch the bat, baby, and let the ball push it into the back of your hand. Soften it. Soften it.
What do you think, Jim?
There you go. There you go. Yeah, you got to let the ball soften the bat into your hand, baby. Drop that thing soft and go.
You let the bat catch the ball.
Yes.
You keep your eye on the bat. Scott, are you listening to this? So when you
I am listening. I don't know when I'll use it, but I am listening.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm like, what am I going to do? I was never a good bunter. I just know how to do it.
When you play in an over 30 league, you can be a guy that can move a runner. What I do as motivation, guys, is I throw my hat off and I put it down the third base line and I put a 20.
Do you live in a van down by the river?
No. I throw a $20 bill in the hat. Anybody that can drag bunt the ball into my hat gets that $20. That's motivation. That's coaching.
That's also illegal, but that's okay.
How do you know it's illegal? It's not illegal. Look, you know where I grew up. You knew we paid players there. They got 25-cent hot dogs at the Golden Gate Casino growing up. That's how UNLV built that dynasty.
Yeah.
I
think it's a little bit more than hot dogs.
Just a bit.
Ask Jerry Tarkanian's former manager. Oh, that's right. You can't. He was found in a trunk of a car when he was thinking about going to the Los Angeles Lakers.
You want us to talk about mob stuff? We can go all day talking about mob stuff.
I love that story, though. I mean, and I didn't even know that story. I got it from watching what is now one of my absolute favorite miniseries that I have watched. And Scott, if you have not watched this, dude, you're missing out. And I'm trying to remember the name of it, but it was about the Lakers. It was a 2-season thing about the
Winning
Lakers.
Time.
Winning Time on HBO.
Oh my God, was that thing freaking awesome. All the guys and everybody in it was awesome. Brody as Pat Riley. I mean, John C. Riley as the owner was amazing.
Is he not good in everything?
Yes, he is. But I loved that series. And the second season, they addressed Bird more. I don't. They did kind of add a racist tone to him a little bit, which I think was BS because he was exactly opposite of that. I mean, he learned his game playing with the black workers at French Lick, the hotel. He'd go down there and play, and it was But that was such a great. I got to watch that again. It was fun.
Well, Scott, now that we've ruined your day by Jim and I going off for the first 5 minutes or so of this, first off, I want to thank you. And Scott, you're very much, you remind me in some ways of background similar to Jim in that you guys are self-made. And I did get to spend some time with you in Vegas at the Summer League a few years ago. And folks, if you've not gone to the NBA Summer League, that's a really fantastic.
It has become great TV watching in the summer. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, no question. Scott, you've done a lot of things, but the first question I want to ask you, in looking at your LinkedIn page, it says that you worked for me, and I have early onset, whatever. What did I have you do? Because I do remember meeting you. I do remember some people calling me and say, hey, you got to meet this Scott Agness kid. And you came in. What did I have you do?
Yeah, I was in your office, but I feel like you were always on the go. It was mostly with Kegger. I did the number one thing I remember doing was every Monday transcribing Bill Lynch's press conferences. And so those he speaks so quickly, if I remember right. And so it took a while. And then it was just working various events, football games, basketball games, all that kind of stuff. But no, it was good 2 years. And then I branched out and made my own website, which I'm not doing the same website, but doing many of the same things here today.
Well, now, and this is why I was really interested in talking to you, because right now is the time that, and I hated this, and Jim knows I hated this because he was one of the guys that I would try to get in the way of. During this time of year, because once that season ends and you've got that open locker room, the first question, are you leaving?
Yeah.
Are you leaving? Are you leaving? And what I'd like you to talk about a little bit is this upcoming NBA draft. They talk like the freshman class is unbelievable. But you have a team in the Pacers, which you cover, went to the NBA Finals last year, had a devastating injury, and I looked at do they have the fewest wins in the league right now?
Yep.
But they won last night against a good Orlando team.
Yeah, so they had lost 16 straight games. It was a franchise record, JD, so it's never been worse. Now, some of it is strategic, don't get me wrong there. But at the same time, it's been a season that nobody could have expected. They knew they weren't going to be a championship contending team. They knew they probably would be a fringe playoff team, but things went haywire in the preseason. You had like 3 guys suffer injuries in the first preseason game. That's 2 weeks into training camp. And so right now their focus is entirely outside of the team, but the front office, it's entirely on this draft that unlike say the previous one, people are super, super high on, especially the top 4. And you can tell that's kind of where the Pacers love this draft because they made that trade for Ivica Zubac, and as part of that, they put protections on their pick for this year, JD. So if it's 1 through 4, they keep it. If it's 5 through 10, or excuse me, if it's 10 through 30, they keep it. But you could tell they extended it to 1 through 4 because that's clearly who they would be content with this draft because of how top heavy in particular it is. They're looking for a player that can help them get back to a championship contending roster with Tyrese Halliburton also coming back from injury.
The big question though is that AJ DeBanza?
Yeah.
Is that Darren Peterson? Because I don't
Boozer.
think it's not Boozer. Because he to me, it's not because he's not a good player, but it's because what's he bring different that they don't already have kind of in abundance of.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean,
Except you
I'm
got
starting
to,
to-
Jim, you got to draft best player available. Who has the highest potential? Who is,
I'm
you
thinking AJ. I'm starting to think AJ DeBenson, and I would not have said that earlier, but
Yeah.
he just seems like he has more ceiling, long run, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that front. But my thing is, though, I've seen too many teams overlook a guy. Well, we already have a point guard. Well, okay, if this is your Hall of Fame type point guard, you go and get him and figure it out later. And so that's the thing I would emphasize to any of these teams, whoever it is. But yeah, there's a lot of question marks with Darren Peterson there out of Kansas. I mean, it even goes back to his playing style, right? Is he playing 10 minutes, 15 minutes a game? Is he sitting out the second half? Who's making these decisions? Does he want to? Is it an agent? There are a lot more questions than answers right now when it comes to him there at Kansas. With AJ, you're right. He has those intangibles. He has the height, the length. And on top of that, his versatile skill set is what's really intriguing, I think, these NBA teams.
Well, let me interject one thing that I learned from Winning Time, Jim. The Los Angeles Lakers in 1979 had the number 1 pick. And Mr. Basketball, Jerry West, wanted desperately to draft Sidney Moncrief. And Jerry Buss said, no, we need Showtime.
Yeah.
And they ended up taking Magic Johnson. And we've seen in all sports, it comes down to one or two guys, Peyton Manning, Ryan Leaf. Different things happen. And that's why the draft, in my estimation, is an inexact science now. It wasn't back in 1979, 80. Back in the old days, you knew what you were getting. You were getting a camera-ready guy. Now, and I've seen this, I saw this with guys that left IU early a lot of times. I don't know if mentally, they may be ready physically, but mentally, how many guys can you know for sure are ready for the grind of what an NBA season entails?
Yeah, it's a big crapshoot when it comes down to it, honestly, right? And so this is why there's so much intel that teams are trying to gather. Yet at the same time, how much is a player going to change too from age 18 to 23? And so I think that's quite frankly why we're seeing in college football in particular, teams are really liking when you can go out and get a Fernando Mendoza who you've seen put in the reps and have all that success, have some pitfalls, things they've overcome. You've seen the highs and lows. Take it back here local. Anthony Richardson, what did he have? Like 13 starts in his entire career at college? Well, that clearly didn't work out. Maybe it will, but JD, that's basically exactly what you're getting at right there, right? You don't have enough on the radar to have a good understanding of him and how much they are going to change once they are put in more of a professional environment. I will say that helps right now that in college, they're already dealing with their agents. They're already dealing with elite facilities. They already have a lot of things in a good way at their disposal, but how they use that, how they manage that, it's a hard position to be in. I think if you're a front office scout trying to sort through the fluff, the BS, the skill set, trying to see them in practice, trying to see how they compete in March Madness. I think that's why it's so helpful too, to see them this month, to see how they approach and how they fare in these games.
One of the things that I used to get calls every year about our NBA prospects. General managers, different scouting directors, people would always call, it's kind of like the thing where nobody calls the references that you have on a resume. They're always going to look for somebody that might have a connection that they know. And I used to use that when I would hire people. If I saw someone work at school X and maybe I worked with the softball coach at Bowling Green, and I would say, hey, how was this person to work with? The funniest question that I ever got, and I'm not going to name the player, but
that's no fun, man.
But then he wouldn't share it.
Yeah. Was why was this player on Instagram and Twitter at 3:45 a.m. in the morning?
Or at a casino?
When they had a game the next day.
Or at a casino?
look,
I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, you don't have to worry about those guys being in a casino. And I know you're talking probably about the Bahamas. One year we were in the Puerto Rico casino, but you know what? That's, to me, going to a casino is just like playing video games.
Not the
That's
night
all
before
it
a
is.
game at 2:30 though. In the morning.
Look, everybody's different that way. Okay? Everybody's wired differently. There were nights when I would get home from games or even prior to a game, I couldn't get to sleep because my mind is going and you need a distraction. So, the players being in the casinos, you'd want them in their room with and eating.
I would think there would be a curfew the night before a game, personally.
We still do curfews?
Yeah,
not anymore. Not in the pros anymore, I guess.
There's no curfews anywhere because it would affect their mental.
Let me honestly, do you think that if Tom Izzo's and Michigan State were in the Bahamas, that any of those players would be sitting at the casino table at 2:30 in the morning?
Yes.
I disagree.
Yeah, see,
I think they would be on the far end of Tom Izzo's foot at their butt as they're heading to the moon.
Look, the one thing that coaches deal with every second of the day are headaches.
No doubt.
Everything. And the headaches come when you least expect it. Sometimes from people you least would think would be doing stuff. But, if somebody ever wrote a book about the tales of athletes on the road in hotel rooms, that might be a year-long documentary.
Oh, no doubt about that.
And that's professional and college and even high school. I mean,
hell, you could stay in the hotel rooms and get great content.
Yeah. But Scott, looking at some of the things in this tournament, what game really captivated you? And Jim, I'd love to hear your thoughts, because there were some games that, I only start watching games in the second half, and I look at my phone and I see the scores, and if it's reasonable, I'll watch the last 4 minutes, usually with the sound off. Okay, even though a lot of the announcers are good friends, and CBS has a great crew of announcers. Listen to Tom Crean on Westwood One, by the way. He's going to be calling the DC series, and I think that's where Michigan State is with, and then Duke and St.
He does a great job on TV.
He really needs to get on that TV setup for March Madness, because we need more analysts like him. I think that's one of the issues with college basketball.
He's honest. He's the most honest. He's one of the most honest analysts out there.
Yeah. No, he's really good. But to JD, to answer your question, I think the game that stands out to me was the excuse me, I think it was Kentucky Santa Clara, that great finish where all right, maybe Santa Clara is going to pull this off. Here we go. They'd be talk of the town here, I think, in central Indiana. Then Kentucky makes the layup. Okay, then Santa Clara answers. Then with like 0.5 seconds left, the bank there into force overtime. That's the memorable thing, because it had big school, small school. Santa Clara had not been in the tournament for 30 plus years. Selfishly, it's notable for me because I have a Pacers assistant coach who was on that Santa Clara team, who was at that game. So I was taking particular interest in that. That was, of course, Lloyd Pierce. And then if Kentucky goes down, all hell breaks loose in March Madness. So that's fun too.
I'm going to go with Nebraska's round of 32 win. And of course, you can always talk about Iowa. People don't realize in tournament play, I'm not so sure that Ben McCallum doesn't have one of the best winning percentages. When you take a look at what he did in Division II.
I think he does. He's like a Kurt Signetti. Or Kalen DeBoer. You could add his name in there as well.
My grandfather, part of my upbringing was being in Albany, Missouri, which is right there in that part of Northwest Missouri. And they're dominant in football. If you don't know about Division II, absolutely killed it in football for a number of years. And in basketball, again, winning any championship, and especially in those tournaments where you got to play 3 games in 3 days, that's coaching. That's learning how to prepare your team and motivating them. And I know he had some frustration with them earlier, but those were games that stood out to me. The Iowa 3-pointer in the corner, and Nebraska. I think Nebraska made a layup, if I'm not mistaken.
Isn't it just so odd that, we're highlighting, all of us talk about IU football, and then you go to basketball and we're talking Iowa basketball, Nebraska things have just completely flipped right now. You see the 6 teams that move on, and those are 2 of them. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and you mentioned Ben McCollum. He's won championships, man. He's got 4 Division II titles in 17, 19, 21, and 22. He's won 426 games across all levels. He's just won everywhere he's gone. And the fact that he was able to go to Iowa, that hadn't even made the Sweet 16 and since 1999, and bring along. Oh, another great thing is, I saw this yesterday, 4 of the 5 starters where they originally started, 1 was in NAIA, 2 were Division II, and 1, I think, was like a low Division I school. So 4 of his 5 starters came from, 3 of them are outside of Division I even. But that is unbelievable coaching. That's an unbelievable system. That's Curt Cignetti-esque, because he had to get those players that are not as good as the elite players, but he had to get them to play at the same level as what Florida had. And that's a hell of a win, because that's a Florida team that could have defended its title, but they did what they had to do. And that last play, that's my game. That last play was just so calm and perfectly set up. And it was just amazing to watch. And so fun stuff. I loved that Iowa win, and don't know how much further they can go, but that was fun.
The hardest part, I feel like, for all these coaches is, number one, getting the buy-in both internally and externally early on. And then it's establishing a culture, because you're brand new there and you got players go in and out. You're dealing with agents, outside influences. That's what makes Curt Cignetti and the job he's done so special, so miraculous, how quickly he did it, because it takes so much time to establish it. And he clearly has the methods to do so, because he crushed it.
Scott Agness from Fieldhouse Files with us right now in Campbell's Corner, which means JD Campbell's here as well. And you are. Got more coming up. Jim Coyle with you, back with more right after these messages.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming, or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC, local lives here.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Dave & Buster's Bloomington is the place to eat, drink, play, and watch. Enjoy half-price games every Sunday through Thursday, a new menu to dig into, and next-level upgrades like private game suites, the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's Bloomington, 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Jim Coyle with you on this Tuesday as always, and you're in Campbell's corner right now. JD Campbell has got Scott Agness lined up from Fieldhouse Files. And how did you enjoy the CFP this year? It was you went to Atlanta. You were in Miami. I don't think I saw you in Miami. Did I?
No, but that was the trouble with Miami. Everything was so spread out. I
hated
people
it.
were everywhere.
I freaking hated it.
Yeah. People were on the beach, Brickell. And
I didn't see any beach.
people.
I can tell you that. I would love to have seen a beach. But yeah, the stadium was 30 minutes away. The center where they did all the fan stuff was closer to the stadium, which was 30 minutes away. And then you had stuff downtown. So yeah, it was not, again, Indianapolis there's hardly any Atlanta was fantastic.
It was. The only
everything
thing
is right there.
The most surprising thing about Miami and that setup was the weather was not great.
It was cold.
And then the next day, I stayed around till a late flight that night. I had a jacket, a hat that nearly blew off my head. It was windy.
I was freezing at the game because
the
stadium has got the roof that has an opening. So it was like a vacuum that was just sucking the air in there. And I was literally freezing. I left during the game to go down to buy another hooded sweatshirt that I did not want to spend $110 on. It was just unbelievable. But yeah, the NCAA tournament, JD, like you pointed out, 6 Big Ten teams, man. That's amazing. They get 9 in the tournament. 6 of them make the Sweet 16. That's pretty damn good, especially when you look at teams like Iowa and Nebraska, that were really good at the end of the year. They're 27-6 still right now, but they just started to fade for some reason. But man, Iowa is one of those teams. I think they lose their next game, but Ben McCollum was able to recruit the players that at least will play his system the way he plays it. And they did just that. And that was successful. Now he's got to get better players to succeed at a higher level than where they are right now. And he will. But because they've got the Iowa Prep, where Keith Smart is now the coach, JD, and the Fishers coach that won 1,000 games in 4 years at Fishers and a state title is his assistant coach down there out in Iowa. And I talked to Keith yesterday, so hopefully going to have him on here soon. But that would be huge for Iowa to get a La Lumiere type place and
see, this is where you put a lot of emphasis on high-level recruits. And I understand that, Jim. You know, you and I always go back and forth. Me, the administrator, you, the fan. It's about
reporter, hopefully, less fan, more reporter.
Well, but you do take the fans' side a lot more than I do. Although I love the fans.
Absolutely.
That was Tony Montana calling me, by the way, on the phone, wanting to
Tony
know
Montana.
where he could find you guys because you were talking bad about his hometown of Miami.
Say hello to my little friend.
He was not happy with you guys, and I just wanted to let you know that. But no.
Well, they need to warm the damn place up. Let me tell you.
I didn't even talk about construction either, by the way.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Stay away from it. Stay away from it. Look, your job in college basketball as a coach is to win. And you as a coach will live or survive or die on if your team wins. And it doesn't matter who you win with. Okay. It matters now when you're looking at recruits. Oh, we got the best recruits. Sometimes the best recruits don't always make the best team. And I think Iowa and other places show that often. And I think some of the best players in Indiana history weren't guys that would have played or succeeded at a Carolina or Duke or Kansas. But for Indiana, they were unbelievably important, and so, yes, I take recruiting with a grain of salt. Darren Peterson probably was scrutinized beyond anybody. Boozer, Carlos's son, has grown up in the spotlight, kind of like Grant Hill. Those kids from the day they were born, they were sons of professional athletes. So the thing that this was something that Tom always said about guys that might look like they were going to be one and done. You have to unpack your bags. And if you have guys whose bags aren't packed, in the end, it's going to hurt you. It's going to hurt you because you got people in their ear telling them, look, hey, you may have a little bit of an injury. Don't jeopardize what's coming in May for a group of people that you're never going to see again or be a part of in March. And
I think that's the hardest thing these players have to navigate, JD. I mean, you were in to all those voices they have to deal with, whether it's a professor or a best friend, to boys on the team and managers, to agents and everybody on the outside. That's where I feel bad for these 18-year-olds that they don't know. They're just trying to figure out life too.
Well, and basketball players are getting paid at age 12, 13, 14, with these AAU teams. They're getting all their expenses paid for because this AAU program wants to have the notoriety. And usually, a lot of AAU teams or travel teams will have two or three different tiers of players. Like some of the, some of the prep schools, they have multiple tiers. IMG does, but hey, that's where part of the problem is with what we're dealing with right now, because the expectation of the parents right now is got to get paid. I always contend, and I'm not saying anything negative about, the Langford family, but I often wonder, would he have benefited by a second year at Indiana like Cody Zeller did? Because I thought I think Cody could have gone one and done. I was always of the mindset, and it's only my mindset, that one of the reasons he didn't go out as the freshman is, one, there was an NBA lockout at the time. And who would they have drafted higher, Cody or Tyler, if they came out in the same draft? So that, again, that's something that I always wondered about. And fortunately for us, Cody came back. And I don't think there's any better ambassador for Indiana basketball. He graduated from the Kelly School of Business, was the 4th pick in the 13 NBA draft. But he could have that. He could have that luxury.
Imagine if Romeo was able to fully get the NIL that's going on right now. I think I would have, without a doubt, JD, that he would still be at IU. The difference is a lot of these guys, if you can be a lottery pick, certainly, but if you are a first-round pick, go, get paid, figure it out later. But I think sometimes the short-sightedness of that is you could have a 10, 12-year career rather than get paid on the first contract, which isn't that much anyway, relatively speaking.
And unfortunately, Romeo was an immature kid at the time. He's not making his decisions. He did not make his decision, period, any of them. His dad made all those decisions. His dad took over the AAU program his last season. That was a money grab. And everything was geared toward, it was done. He was never, ever not going to spend more than 9 months in Bloomington. The whole goal was, and I get it when you're a projected first round pick, and he was just outside the lottery, right? Like,
no, he was in the lottery. I think.
He was in the okay, and that was a lot more fluff than reality. There's no doubt he would have benefited from a number year at IU, or even 2, just for the personal maturity, like I said, because he was not as mature as he needed to be. And if you look at the first thing the Celtics did, it had nothing to do with his damn thumb. They take a ping pong paddle and they tape it to his left hand to get him to shoot the ball better. It was not about his thumb. But anyway, yes, I agree with everything you said. But that's been something that we've seen a lot, especially when guys are not making their own decisions, where they're being influenced by people who think that they have the right thing in mind for them, but they don't know. What the hell experience do you have in managing a potential NBA, NFL, or Major League Baseball player? Nothing. Zero. Just because you love them. Yeah, I think a lot of them start to see dollar signs. They care for their child and all that, but the dollar signs just get in the way. They may not even realize it, but I think we all know too many decisions are based on money. That is the whole world now.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, no question, Jim. And I think, when you look at a lot of the guys that win early for IU, I know Indiana was really hoping that, Yogi Ferrell was looking at going out every year after his freshman, because again, and you hear the noise. You hear the noise from people. Well, this guy is going to be that they project, and they had the NBA draft.net and all the projected drafts and stuff like that. And when you look at it, Eric Gordon was in early in that where you had to go to college for a year. And still playing. I don't know how much longer, but he's still playing. Guy that you went to your high school, right, Scott?
Yeah, North Central is a year ahead of me. Absolutely.
Well, I think with that I met more North Central grads during that time. There must have been some kind of deal made with people from North Central that they could be
Jeremy
around.
Gray set something up. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. But you take a look at a guy that sometimes you gamble on yourself. And has anybody gambled on themselves better than OG Anunoby?
Mm-hmm.
Coming off
his whole story is so I love it. The fact that Tom went out to look at Jawan Morgan out in Missouri at some AAU or whatever it was.
Steve McClain some credit for that too.
Okay.
Steve really? McClain was a guy, and Steve McClain is still in the tournament with Tennessee.
Is he the guy that saw OG and pointed him out?
He's a guy that was very involved with the MoCan program.
Okay.
And
the funny thing is he went to look at Jawan, and OG apparently was not even listed on the roster of the players that they had in the thing, and they had to ask, well, who's this guy?
OG's father, God rest his soul, was a professor in Jefferson City, Missouri, Lincoln University. And academics were huge for them. And OG had an older brother that played in the NFL and got involved, and they made the decision that after he almost went out after his freshman year. They were on the fence with that. And fortunately for us, he didn't, because we won the Big Ten title. But yeah, we won the Big Ten title with him as a freshman, and then he got hurt, and the season kind of collapsed.
It's remarkable how many teams were scared away, JD, by an ACL, which, yes, it was a significant injury, but in today's landscape, an ACL is not that major. It's not that big a deal, but many teams had him projected, second round picks, a lot of which because of that. And man, he is crushed. And it's interesting. I didn't know that story about his recruitment. It also reminds me about Tom Crean going to Matha and finding Victor Oladipo. He wasn't there for Victor. He was there for somebody else. Victor wasn't on the radar.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that one.
Oh yeah. Victor didn't even start at
Right.
DeMatha.
Well, I knew that he had to work to become a better shooter. Hey, I've got to take our last break real quick, get that in. J.D. Campbell in Campbell's Corner. He's got Scott Agness from Fieldhouse Files. I'm Jim Coyle, back with more right after these messages.
Dave & Buster's Bloomington is the place to eat, drink, play, and watch. Enjoy half-price games Sunday through Thursday, plus a new menu and next-level upgrades like private game suites and the high-flying human crane. Only at Dave & Buster's Bloomington on South College Mall Road.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
You're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area? You need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Bored, Bloomington? Dave & Buster's can fix that. Eat and drink your way through our new menu. Play half-price games every Sunday through Thursday. Watch your teams on the big screen and level it all up with the high-flying human crane. Private game suites and more, only at 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday. Jim Coyle with you as always, and it's Campbell's Corner. J.D. Campbell's got Scott Agness from Fieldhouse Files. For those of you around Central Indiana and further, you should be familiar with Scotty covering Pacers. What all you cover? Everything? Colts, Pacers, everything up there?
No, it started out just Pacers, but now really expanded to Fever with Caitlin Clark and all her, in addition to now the Noblesville Boom as well. So the 3 professional basketballs in Central Indiana.
You are a star.
You know what their tagline should be there at Noblesville. Boom goes the dynamite.
Okay.
I saw that moment just turned like 21, I think.
Yeah.
I saw over the weekend.
So many people have no idea what that is, but the funny thing is, I had no idea what it was until like 4 years ago. And
wow.
I think I was at like a IU baseball game covering it, and the students kept talking about. I'm like, what the hell what are they talking about? And so yeah, that's how I found out. But I'll have to. I've had that and played it before for people. But I'll have to get that up maybe for the championship game.
I need to know, where is he now? Feature about whatever he's doing. That's what I need.
Dude, okay.
He works at Lowe's.
All right, Scott, right here. We've got to find him and get him on. And make him. Oh my God, that would be. I'll pull that up for the championship.
That would be fun, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's gotten so many requests that he's like, no, let me just live my life type of thing. I'm over I'm like, dude, no, it's iconic. It's got to. Especially here, I think he's at Ball State. Like,
yeah,
yes, I think he, like JD says, he's selling aluminum siding somewhere. He's definitely not a TV sports anchor. I can promise you that. It was all fun and games. But all right, guys, we got games coming up this week, baby. It's going to be fan-freaking-tastic, I think,
Jim,
with the lineup.
Jim, I want to give a shout out to
Absolutely.
my former brothers in arms that are still in the tournament, and people that maybe I worked with at IU, and I apologize if I've forgotten anybody. But
how about Nate? Nate, right off the bat.
That's my goal. Nate Weekers. How about this? Keg won the national championship. Weekers, Nate, a guy that was a manager at Bowling Green that I brought here, met his wife. Family lives in Tucson. He's the director of basketball communications for Arizona. And don't forget Jeremy Rosenthal. He's
down at Texas, right?
Yeah.
He's at Texas.
Still at Texas?
For the women.
Yeah.
And my hope is that they all win the national championships. So
Do you get rings if they do?
By extension.
What I want to do is, like we talk about Letterman. When you got a Letterman's jacket in high school, you got patches for different things. Nothing would make this dad more proud than seeing those three get to cut down the nets in the biggest stage that they would ever be. But I also want to give a shout out to some people that are still in it. We talked about Steve McLean at Tennessee. All right. Two more guys that were really important to me. Bruiser Flint and Chuck Martin are with John Calipari at Arkansas. Okay. And Tom Ostrom is the acting general manager at St. John's right now.
Are you kidding me?
I didn't know that.
No.
I did not know that either.
The smartest man you know right here. Smarter. I mean, I'm just telling you.
Well, Rick Pitino is, let me tell you who his SID is, JD. Do you know
Kenny
who his
Klein.
SID? Yes,
Kenny
he brought
Klein.
Kenny Klein out of retirement. I had Kenny on the show at Derby last year. He was running around. My Kenny, come here, because the guy that usually runs all the stuff for the Derby had a health emergency. But yeah, Kenny, and then so I saw him the other day when they were going in halftime. I go,
Yeah.
because he had taught. He was like, I told him, man. He goes, I'm done. And nope, he drug him. Every time I'm out, they drag me back in.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
Kenny Klein was what, Louisville's SID for 30 years?
oh, he's a legend, man. He was so helpful to me in my career. I mean, I relied on him because, you know, we call it the triangle: Kentucky, Indiana, and Louisville.
Bermuda Triangle, baby.
And our media, you know, they cross over, and the expectation from the fans for all three programs is off the charts.
Yeah.
But if you're a fan of basketball, and Scott, I hope I see you at a few of these things, because not only am I coaching my JV team Saturday and Wednesday, but we've got the NIT Final Four coming to Hinkle on Thursday night.
Yep.
And on Sunday, they're going to have the Division III, the Division II, and the NIT finals at Gamebridge. So if you want to see basketball, if you can't get into the Final Four, you can see some really good basketball next week. And I think we may try to have somebody on either from the NCAA, the Indiana Sports Corps next week to talk about all the things.
You know, I
that
graduated I went to high school with LJ Wright, by the way.
Okay. Well,
Do you know LJ?
No.
LJ is the head of all NCAA men's championships.
Okay. But if you, and again, all the different probably things that they have around the Final Four.
There's a ton of them. Yeah.
Scott, what do you know about next week?
Well, my favorite thing for that weekend is the number of concerts that are going to be going on right downtown by American Legion Mall. They've already started to close that area off. But
what's the best one?
Zach Brown Band, a lot of people would love. My favorite's Russell Dickerson. Who else? I'm trying to think.
AC/DC coming?
Who's that? Sorry.
Will AC/DC be there?
they have as much likelihood as Van Halen of showing up.
Well, hey, AC/DC, Jim, we've talked about this. Notre Dame Stadium, September 4th.
I thought it was somebody else.
Luke,
No,
you're probably
AC/DC.
thinking of Luke Combs, Jim, because that's what I'm going to.
No, I was not. I was thinking it was like I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking of. That'll be. Oh my God! I've seen AC/DC once.
Hey JD,
and
how about this? I just got an email from IMS Counting Crows to highlight Miller Lite Carb Day. Is that for you?
No. Do you know I haven't been to a concert since October 31st, 1980?
What?
Yes.
I don't believe that.
No. 46 years. And the last concert
You haven't been to a concert in 46 years?
No. But see, I grew up, I was 7 years old, and I used to go be in the showrooms of the Desert Inn Hotel, sitting up in the light booth, being able to watch people like Trini Lopez, Juliet Prowse, Jimmy Durante.
Frank Sinatra? Jimmy Durante? Gee, was it a vaudeville act?
Look, hey, I used to, when Bob Newhart came to town, I used to go over to the suite that he had, and I was brought in to play with his son, Robbie, who's the same age as me.
Just to be a companion?
Just to be a buddy when he's on the road.
Okay. So we need to do a separate, just a straight podcast and just Las Vegas stories where we can just talk.
Let it rip.
Yes, let it rip. You don't have to worry about anything because it sounds to me there are some good stories there. And I think I'd like to hear them. Unfortunately, we're out of time. But, man, this was fun. I'd like to do this again. We're always out of time, unfortunately, it seems like. But, Scott, what's going next for you, brother?
Yeah, we're already looking forward to the end of this Pacers season, just 10 games left. And it's weird not to be talking about postseason, but May 10th's the number one date that Pacer fans need to know about. It's the draft lottery, when they'll figure out if they keep the pick and where it will be. And then April 1st, it's going to be a busy WNBA because the collective bargaining agreement should be ratified by then. And there's a lot of business to get done before the season starts in about 6 weeks after that.
Can I get tickets to the Fever games?
Depends how thick your wallet is because those are expensive and a long list of season tickets, JD.
Go cover it for us. Go cover it for the show.
I always say this. I could get in anywhere with just a luggage tag that looks nice and on a lanyard.
Hey, if you look like you know what you're doing most of the
100%.
time, that's the biggest. But seriously, go cover it for us, man, and give us. And we come back, we'll talk about it. JD Campbell and Campbell's Corner. Damn it, I hate to cut it out. I know you guys have had a great time today listening. I know I have, and look forward to having Scott back on. JD, can't wait. We get to do this again next week, friend. Thank you, my friend, and enjoy practice today.
Thank you, Scott.
You got it. Thanks, guys.
JD, that's going to wrap it up. Thanks to each and every one of you. Appreciate you. Back tomorrow to do it again. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.